Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, no matter where in the world you are joining us from. Welcome to the bus station. The boys are back in town. Finally, the Brunch Busters are both back here. I am Bobby Munson, and beside me, Chris Parrish. Awesome. We are finally back on screen. We were last night, but officially I'm busting out now. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? And I just want to say thank you to all the people who are in the chat. So it's going to be a fun little episode tonight.
Already
and
right.
Here's something that I'm going to challenge everybody at. Tell your friends to just hop on and support the show, obviously, in general. But if you can, if they haven't subscribed to our YouTube right now, we are at 299 subscribers. All right. And 99 might be great in the Edmonton area or in the Brooklyn area, but we like to get to Mr. 300. We want to be the Derek Jeter of YouTube right now. We want to get number 300 right now. So if you can, let's spread the word and get us to over the 300 mark, as I know we can do that. But but make sure you're in that notification bell, subscription, all that good stuff to let yourself know when we're going on. So how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. And again, first of all, thank you to Tom Collahue for stepping in last week, joining you on screen during busting out. And a big thank you to Ed Fries, who filled your seat there for a couple of weeks while you were away as well, too. So a big thank you to both of them for, being friends of the show, being friends of ours, and also, stepping up and keeping this train station running while the two of us were, having some time off. But, we got to get to all our friends in the chat. And the chat is hot and active here this morning and loving this. The voice, Joshua Joseph. How goes it, friends? Josh, how you doing, brother? Good to see you here. And again, Josh is good, buddy. Hypocrisy Jones is going to be joining myself and Papa Smokes live on Ring Respect Radio this Thursday's night. So make sure that you tune into that. Good morning to Bobby Stats. Bobby Stats is the new name for Bobby Bettino after last night's MLW Slaughterhouse Watch Along. And coming in right off the hop, Janai Kai was on the MLW Fusion tapings last night. Also ended up taking a title last night. So we'll talk more about that. Josh saying, is that a parish? I believe it is. It's not AI. This is the real deal beside me. Chris Best coming in with good
AI.
Chris Best, CBRS Entertainment, and co-host Turnbuckle Talk and the Raw Watch Along coming in. Good afternoon, everyone. And Chris hopped in at the end of the tailgate party as well last night too. It was great to have him on board. Oh God, they are back, says Ed. After all that high praise, the end is nigh. The end is nigh. The end is nigh. It may be. Josh saying, oh, his baby pooped on his hood trooper to push through.
My baby poops excellence, by the way, just so you know.
And then Matt Cardona and Tom Lawler against Alex Hayden and Mr. Thomas was on the MLW Fusion tapings last night as well, too. Man, I can't wait to check that out.
And we'll get 300. I'm just saying, we'll get to the Matt Cardona stuff just later in this episode, too.
So Josh saying he just helped us out get to that 300 there, Per.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you. Oh, that deserves a spin. You get a spin for that kind of deal right there. But always keep those numbers coming for us on the YouTube side. We really do appreciate it and appreciate the support. Barry, how are you doing, Barry? I do enjoy the audio-only ads on Twitch. Your mouth moving and a woman's voice talking about her cat's gut health. Oh, yeah. Gotta love those things. There is a way around that. I mean, if you're ever so inclined, subs on Twitch eliminate all the advertisements. Just say.
Quit. Let's reenact this. I'll move my mouth, Bobby. You talk about your cats.
All right. My cats, they're sleeping as usual because they're old.
He said a woman's voice, and I made this.
Morning, Astrid. How are you doing this morning? Good to see you. As you can tell, this show's already going off the rails, and we haven't even got to our first topic of the day. It's fantastic. Loving this. Keep that chat active. I mean, maybe we won't even get to topics. We'll just be sitting there reacting to chat comments all show.
Well, I think we don't want to say the wrong thing, right? Like we say some weird things, but we don't want to say the wrong thing. Why? Because it brings us to our first topic. Loose lips sink ships, but bad posts can turn into a punk. This is definitely talking about the no-nos that we're seeing this week on the good old X made by some people in the wrestling business. We're not going to point any fingers, but Tony Khan, what the fuck are you talking about, man? This is not what you're supposed to use Twitter for or the X for. I'm pretty sure everyone else is just shaking their head in, dude, just shut up and get off Twitter, get off social media. But I feel really bad for like the people in the back sometimes when they're just like, really, our boss is saying this? Why?
He's gone off the rails a little himself this week with some of the comments that he's been posting. I don't know where his head's at. Like, I mean, again, you've got to know that this game was going to get played when you put the show on a Tuesday night, and that they were going to go at you. I mean, if you want to go to war, you're going to go to war with a company that can utilize those big stars at a drop of a hat. That they can do all these things, and really, it's you should just gracefully say, they got me, but we'll continue to produce a great show and work on getting them next time, kind of thing. Like something simple like that would have been enough PR to be good. But the thing is now the more that Tony keeps saying and the more that he keeps showing this side of himself, it's going to turn some people off. And in doing that, again, it goes back to when Eric Bischoff started talking shit about WWE back in the 90s. And as soon as he did, that's when we started to see that shift of fans going, well, if you're going to be an ass about it, I'm going to turn on the other guy's show. And that's when WWE started to gain more traction. And if AEW wants to get out of that habit, all they got to do is worry about themselves. Produce the best possible wrestling show that you can and worry about that. Don't worry about what the WWE is doing. You're going after a major sports entertainment giant right now that's got the power to crush if they want to. Keep your nose out of their business, do the best you can, and you will build that credibility with time.
Speaking of nose, Chris Best said he had a bad batch of the nose candy. I mean,
I missed a lot of these comments already.
they flew right in there. But I mean, you can pop up some of the comments if you want right now. But here's the one thing though. But it's not just Tony Khan though. Like Tony Khan is like one person. He's just absolutely killing the bad press right now on the act. It's just absolutely insane to see just a figurehead do that. Like do this. It's one thing if you see a performer, right, and they kind of just dig their own grave sometimes, or they might get a future endeavored afterwards. But I mean, when it's the lead guy, and right, but it's just a different ballgame when you see like your figurehead of the company, and then you just went through all the crap with guys like CM Punk and with all that kind of drama and that. Whatever, say, oh, my life is in danger. It was just I cannot have that in the locker room. And then you go out and you just spit all this nonsense because in reality you lost a rating war for one night. It's like it's not the end of the world, buddy. It's like, guess what? You chose to go head to head with NXT on that day. Like, who cares what WWE did to come back at you with? Yeah, they used all their top guys. Guess what? They have that in their arsenal. You're not going to go to war and then get mad because you find out that your opposing team has bigger guns than you. Like, come on. Like, that's just like grow up, man. And then when you're the representation of your company, I mean, you gotta say this is where you just gotta like back up what your show was and say, oh my god, like we just put out an awesome show. and I can't wait to see what we do next week. Everyone who did watch, make sure you're tuning in next week. It's going to be another can't miss episode. And for the people that maybe chose to watch something else, make sure that you're staying tuned because you're going to want to see this. Like, you just have to spin the narrative into something positive. You don't have to use this platform as basically a Dear Diary moment. Like, this is just, maturity right now from Tony Khan that he needs to learn a little bit more of.
I think the best PR he could have said too is like, hey, look, you guys beat us. You got us by a couple 100,000 or whatever it was. And just politely say, you had some major hit stars in the form of, Undertaker, John Cena and stuff like that, but we're nipping at your heels. Our star continues to rise, and soon enough it'll be on the other foot, kind of thing. Something like that would have been just enough of a shot, but to also be thankful and kind of praise them up and stuff like that to make it look less petty. I think doing that would have been a little bit better as a whole, but Tony really seems to be that kid that probably was on the internet being in e-feds and stuff like that and like talking trash online in all his little chat rooms and everything all his life. And now that he's got an opportunity on a bigger stage and more people listening, he likes to talk a lot of shit. But again, he does the same thing when it comes to, talking trash towards people in England when it comes to like the Fulham football team out there. He does the exact same kind of thing and gets on there and will talk smack if somebody says anything there. And he really just needs to leave that phone alone sometimes.
I really can't wait for Thursday. Not because Bring Respect Radio with Hypocrisy Jones is on, but it's also when my boys play his Jacksonville Jaguars, and I hope to God that we kill him like AEW that killed in the rating war. No, but it's just one of those things where it's one night, okay, in the larger group of it, okay, it's whatever. Obviously, I know that it's pro wrestling, right? We make it out to be like fucking God's piss at times.
Hello, Bastard.
Right? But what's up, Bastard? How you doing? But it's just, again, like, to me, it's just a poor representation of your company, especially when, like I said, like, you just finished the CM Punk stuff. You just brought in Adam Copeland, who was a gigantic home run acquisition for your
of course,
for your company. And then you kind of just put this back in, and like you just kind of go back there, and it almost feels like, okay, well, maybe CM Punk wasn't totally wrong when he was dealing with the children, he said, because you're really playing into his hand, and like the perception outside looking in now might be changed. The perception inside might be changed, because imagine if you're one of those guys in AEW and you're on the fence of whether or not you're going to test that free agent market when your contract's up, and you're seeing your boss going out there and looking like a stupid child because he didn't get what he wanted or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, because I can only assume that there's a lot of people in that company that love being there, that enjoy being there and believe
for sure
what they're doing. But how much? Like, at what point do you look kind of at the top and then be like, oh, okay, this is weird. Because like, hey, say what you want about Vince McMahon. He never went on X to bitch about the ratings or the wars and stuff like that. And Triple H just makes too much fun of the headlines. He doesn't really do that either. There's just a level of professionalism that you got to use. And hey, WWE can get a lot of shade, but you can't really throw that shade at them.
Yeah, and again, it's, at the same time, it's like this whole thing to me is petty in general. Why people are bickering over two different companies. Like what you like, watch what you want to watch. Like, stop fighting over it. Who cares? You don't like something, don't turn it on. Like, I don't destroy my brain by turning on wrestling that I know I'm not going to enjoy.
Yeah, and this kind of ties in to our other topic where we're talking about WWE versus AEW. NXT. It outdoes AEW in the ratings on the Tuesday night. We ask, though, changing from, bad social media use, were the names really enough? Whereas, were the names really enough to draw? I mean, there's a lot of things of like, oh, well, they didn't get 1 million with like the Undertaker and the John Cenas and the Cody Rhodes. But here's my thing. I think people are looking too focused on AEW versus WWE. Dave Meltzer, I'm sorry, but you're a moron for saying like leading into this thing.
I give that comment 5 stars, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I give it 9.5 because that's realistic. But it's just like, man, like one of the best times in wrestling was back when the Monday Night Wars were going on. You had like 11 million people watching wrestling at the time. Yeah, the war was fun between the two fan bases, but the best part was how many people were watching wrestling. Nobody has seen that amount of people watch pro wrestling on a Tuesday night than they did this past Tuesday, and all people can do is complain about the ratings or it's only 6. Come on, man. What am I? Chopped liver?
That's only in the Tokyo Dome, though.
Yeah, but nobody sold for me either. That's weird. They waited until I was done. But, like we have so many people watching wrestling on a Tuesday, which is not necessarily the best night to watch wrestling per se. But then look at this. Pro wrestling is booming on a Tuesday night. Nobody's talking about that. The state of professional wrestling on a Tuesday was kicking ass, and we should be a little bit more talkative about that, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's never what it is. When they got two companies, you got people that want to bicker about which one's better and try to prove a point. Even going back to WWE and WCW, like I watched both. Even further back than that, WWF and WCW before there was a war going on. As soon as I found out there was more wrestling I could watch, I watched more wrestling. And, over the years, now that it's so accessible to watch a whole bunch of different types of wrestling, I can be a little bit more picky about which companies or which matches I choose to put on. But at that time as a kid, like we had just enough channels for me to catch both companies, one on TBS, one on whatever sports network that we had. I can't remember. It might have even been TSN as far back as the early 90s and stuff. But
it was TSN then, and then it went to the Score, and then it went to Sports Network.
Yeah, but I'm trying. I'm talking like 1990. I can't quite remember if that was quite TSN in Canada or if it was something else at the time that had WWF television. So.
I know TSN was a big one
because I know Superstars on Saturdays used to air on a regular network channel for us because it was up against, it would air right after Saturday morning cartoons up here.
Yeah. But I know, I think CTV had, I want to say, no, or like CFRN, I know used to play some stuff too on the weekends here in Alberta. But anyway, that's going way off track here.
yeah. The rails.
But I mean, that's just the thing. Like what I thought the names did on, and this to me, like if I'm gonna go more into the name, the people who are complaining that NXT brought in John Cena and Cody Rhodes and Undertaker and whoever else, yeah. Do you not remember the reasons why AEW signed the likes of Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage, Mark Henry, Big Show? You kind of did the same thing. It's just a little, it's just WWE just has a better understanding of using the pop that those names bring and transferring it over to the younger guy. You see that more often, especially in NXT, where they've been doing that a little bit more lately. Whereas normally in AEW, you see the pop for that act, and then it stays there because they want to make that bigger, which is fine. There's just different ways, but I really like the way they use the people on NXT. Like Cody Rhodes was there to talk about the tournaments, right? Like putting emphasis on the Dusty Road Classic that was coming back, which was very appropriate. True. And as we know on SmackDown, Triple H said, not piped in. He was surprised too. He thought the same thing.
We'll get to that topic soon enough.
Yeah. But then we had like Asuka helping out like in ring with other talents. You had Undertaker really helping out with Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes. I think Ed smacked it out of the park when he said on Wrestle Draft, the person who really won out of that segment was Braun Breaker, because Carmelo Hayes, yes, got the rub, but Braun Breaker is the one who, sold. He did a lot of the physicality legwork in that segment, and because of that, really helped his stock and being that believable heel that you want to see get beat up more.
That punch was
the first
fantastic, by the way. Taker's punch on Braun and the selling of it was on point.
And Braun also took the first shot on John Cena. Like, you're seeing these guys get that ultimate rub in the wrestling business, which is so key. Hell, we saw LA Knight on SmackDown get it from Cena too. So amazing. What I'm starting to see Adam Copeland do that with the Luchasauruses, the Nick Waynes. When you saw him debut, Nick Wayne was the first one he hit, and then he speared Luchasaurus. I thought Luchasaurus' match with Adam Copeland was one of the better ones from Luchasaurus, to be quite honest. But until AEW starts doing that more often, I don't know if it's really fair to compare or really complain about the names that WWE uses.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I get nothing more I can even add to that because you're right on point. So, yeah.
But I don't know. It's always fun to talk about the names that are coming in. Of course, we want to see names, right? But it all comes back to how do you use them? What do they do for your company? What are the moving pieces in the puzzle? Because if they're just there to get a pop, that's a cheap play. And yeah, you can put that into that whatever category of pettiness, whatever. But are they actually doing something beneficial to the show? And I think I now care more about watching Braun Breaker after this past week, next week. So I'm curious. I'm invested in that character.
Yeah.
Whereas, do I feel the same with all the guys that Jericho's working or Christian's working, stuff like that? I don't know. I do care about them, but is that stock to me increased because of the that episode that they worked with said name? I don't know. I would like to know what the people in the chat think. Was that enough for you guys in AEW? Because I just didn't get that personal feel when I watched.
Well, I mean, yeah, and you're right about that too. But there's some of them in AEW where they're working with other guys, but I still care more about the original person more than I care about the people they're trying to give a rub to. Kind of
sure.
For example, Christian Cage. I think he's phenomenal and very underrated in so many ways. But again, nothing he's doing for the other guys, nothing he's doing is making me more interested in Luchasaurus. Mind you, I have zero investment in Luchasaurus to begin with, so that doesn't help the matter. You know what? You put a dinosaur mask on and call yourself Luchasaurus, you've already lost me. And then your matches haven't been that great to begin with, other than, like you said, he goes in there with someone like Copeland who can actually carry a match and do the right thing. It's a different ball game. But the problem is that a lot of the time, you had people that were unprepared for carrying matches and putting on the right type of match and everything like that. And that's the problem where a lot of these wrestlers have not had that experience working with the experienced guys that can show them how to do it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I'm not going to ever get mad at people that don't have a sense of direction. Am I going to get mad at Luchasaurus for maybe being green or rough around the edges? No, because
he is very green. Look at that costume.
True. But then you got to look at okay, who's he working with? What tools is he really being given? And I think that is something that I think is just an unwinnable argument from AEW to talk about WWE, because WWE does have that developmental system and they do a great job of that. Whereas AEW, they're still learning how to be a really good on-screen promotion where they haven't grown to the fact where they can expand into a developmental system yet. And Joshua Joseph saying Cage involved with a turn in a storyline. I'm sold. Christian is a genius.
And
yeah, Christian Cage is one of the best in-ring performers in the last 15, 20 years. But here's the thing. His mind is one of the best all time. And I think a lot of people they underestimate just how smart he is in wrestling. And what he's doing right now, if you ask me, he is promoting that TNT title to the top title in AEW right now. I am more invested into that championship than MJF's World Heavyweight title. And that has solely because of what Christian Cage is doing right now.
Because they goofed JF up, and the payoff ended up breaking his foot in the process. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, that's just rough.
Plus, MJF run out of top talent to face him for the belt. So.
Well, that's just half the problem, right? It's just what do you do, and how this all comes down to creative, which really is the best transition to Vince McMahon is gone from WWE creative, and Triple H takes over. How we feel the game will change in WWE. We can expand this more, but too good of a transition. But what did Baster say?
Before that, Baster saying I have a group chat with a few buddies. Nothing of their dads have sadly passed. There are okay, now I know where you're going with that. There are Christian memes galore in the chat though. And Josh saying exactly the intensity those all had in the ring on Collision was awesome and made me buy in. Josh was all in on Collision. But back to Vince McMahon getting his ass kicked out the door by his colleagues at TKO Sports. Have a nice day, Vince. Here's a big old boot right in your old man ass and straight out the door with you. You dirty old man, get out of here.
But tell us, how do you really feel?
I mean, Vince, anyone, let's not kid ourselves. Billionaires are messed up at the best of times. So it doesn't matter if it's Vince, it's Tony Khan, or billionaires that aren't even involved in professional wrestling. They have a completely different mindset than human beings. So this doesn't even surprise me. I mean, I thought right from the get-go, the second TKO Sports had the chance to tell Vince to go see out his retirement at home, they were going to take that opportunity, because he's not good for their image. He's not good for the stocks. He's not good for keeping WWE fans interested in the product right now, because he's lost his touch. We know he has. He's at that age. He hasn't clued into what needs to happen. He still thinks a lot of his old ways of doing things are right, and they haven't been. And they made the right decision to send Vince home and allow the right people, such as Triple H, Nick Khan, and everybody else involved, to do their thing and see how that pans out.
Yeah, and Bobby coming in saying Triple H will get to push the wrestlers that Vince McMahon never pushed on the main roster. And that's very true. We're seeing a really cultural shift right now in WWE, which is very welcoming, to the point where I saw a meme online where it was two guys holding the guy who clearly does not want to see what he sees in front of him. And the tagline is hey, look, Nick Khan and Triple H are holding Vince McMahon back as he watches Gunther and Tommaso Ciampa go for 20 minutes.
I want to see that. I really want to see that. I like both those guys a lot, and Gunther can make a lot of people look a lot better.
You would have saw it on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, so I missed it. Okay, never mind. I'll have to go back.
You gotta watch Raw again, man. It's actually not bad.
I'm not watching 3 hours of Raw every week. I'll watch matches like that, though.
You have Gunther against Bronson Reed for the Intercontinental title on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw.
I'll watch that match.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger.
I'll watch that match. Barry saying, I don't really comment much on AEW as I gave up watching it early on when they started trying to be edgy, pushing the idea WWE was for kids and AEW wasn't, because AEW wrestlers would use swear words, etc. When we all know it's the exact opposite. The thing is that I think my biggest problem always was, and again, I'll watch AEW pay-per-views, I'll watch certain matches and stuff like that, depending on how invested I am at the time. My biggest issue was they claimed this was going to be more of a sporting type company, like the wins and losses would matter and all this kind of stuff. And then it seemed like not too far in, they became WWE Junior, and they didn't really have a voice that stood out for me where it differentiated enough. If they would have treated it more like a North American production of what they were trying to do, which was New Japan Pro Wrestling in North America, maybe more people could have been on board. Maybe I would have been a little bit more invested personally. Vince is still on the board with TKO. Yeah, of course he is. I mean, it's not like he's not involved, but he was just told that not get his, hand in the honey pot anymore, basically. So good move on their part.
Yeah. I mean, but let's be honest. There's a difference between being in tune with the day-to-day product and being in tune with the day-to-day business aspect. WWE's at that point where there's a board now to talk to about like the business direction of the company, whereas he's not in charge of the day-to-day operations of how the company's running from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, and just to go off the rails for a second here, because I got to go back to this. Bastard, don't ever make claims that I'm a fan of Jimmy Havoc, and I know you're being sarcastic, because that pasty white, no talent bum does not deserve to even be called a wrestler.
And on that, how do you feel the game is going to change in WWE?
Well, I think they might put two different separate GMs per show or something like that, and they might, I don't know, is it going to change completely? Not 100%. A lot of things are going to remain the same, but like Bobby said, different wrestlers pushed into positions that Vince wouldn't push them into. They're going to maybe try a few different things, see how it lands. Again, they're going to take the basis of what Vince essentially created, but they're just going to try to understand what a modern audience is looking for. And I think that will be the biggest change that we'll see immediately with the WWE.
Joshua Joseph saying, how can more wrestling be upsetting to anyone? I mean, the Trios Championship segment was fantastic on Collision. Yeah. I didn't see it, actually.
I don't know what happened, so I couldn't comment on that.
Not gonna lie, I was too busy watching MLW Slaughterhouse on Saturday.
Yeah,
so
sure were.
But yeah, I mean, the things I can change though are just the ways that you went about things. You're not gonna see the same old hokey pokey crap. You're gonna see some opportunities. I mean, we saw Tegan Nox in a real match against Becky Lynch for the NXT Championship on Raw, and it was a really good match. You showcased Tegan Nox and what she's available to do, what she's capable of doing. You're seeing guys like Tommaso Ciampa get a real shot for the Intercontinental Championship. You're seeing like Chelsea Green get more airtime. You're getting DIY put back together.
Mm-hmm.
When Tommaso Ciampa couldn't get that championship. We're seeing a lot more underlining involvement into storylines. You're seeing a lot more Easter eggs where, Ricochet's being interviewed about Shinsuke Nakamura, but in the background, you have Rhea Ripley talking to Drew McIntyre. You got those little, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that, but I still want to know more about it. And that's just the thing. You're seeing more time investment into why I care about these talents, which I think ultimately is going to make the PLEs or the pay-per-views that much bigger because you are building in the proper direction. And I do think that there is
First,
Yeah, you're laughing at.
yeah, we'll get to that. Like Chris
Yeah.
said, we were seeing a build to the women's tag division as well.
Mhm.
And then, of course, Chuck Lee, because Barry Monkey up to his shenanigans. Chelsea Green getting more airtime as a plus? Question mark.
Yeah.
I bet Barry loved Chelsea when she was in Impact Wrestling.
Hey, her asking a newly found SmackDown GM on SmackDown that she wanted new titles with Italian leather straps. Like, man, like she plays her character very well. And it's very, it's one of those things where if you had time to get invested in the Carmella character over time, you're going to get invested in the Chelsea Green. It's just a matter of time. Trust me, you want that consistency. And that's what you're getting from Chelsea Green right now, whether she might not be here. She's definitely not here, but she's a very good consistent. And I think that's a very interesting and great hand to have in that division where you're building with.
I have a strong feeling that you making the comparison to being invested in Carmella is not going to change Barry's mind of all people here.
It's just one of those things. Those acts are consistent, and you need them when you have multiple hours of television. Like, you need those acts that no matter what, you can just plop them into a situation and they're going to be just fine. Like, you can't do that with all talent. And that's the thing. Those are people that end up having shelf life that is just incredible in business with that is live television pro wrestling. I mean, you look at R-Truth over time, he just became that consistent act. And because of that, you get opportunity. You get a chance. You're never going to be fired. You're not going to be released. Really, you're always going to be there. And you look at Chelsea Green, you look at Carmella, those are people that fit in that category. And when you're rebuilding not only the women's division, but the women's tag team division, those are acts that are essential to that.
But Barry does agree, need consistent mid-carders, just not sure Chelsea is one.
Hey,
it's a fair opinion. You like what you like, and it's a fair opinion.
Just say, roll doubles and take a chance. Yeah, no.
Unless those doubles are snake eyes.
Well, no, we already talked about the Undertaker. Moving forward, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot more patience, I think, now with the product in WWE. Whereas when Vince was doing the creative, there's a lot more of what the, you know what I mean? So
there'll be a lot more like pre-announced matchups that will actually happen and not get changed at the last minute. I think that'll be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
And stuff, because you were seeing that consistency when Vince was out of the picture for a little while.
Yeah, and let's be honest, we're going to see some last-minute changes. That always happens. If you've ever been in independent wrestling, you know what I mean.
Hard subject to change. Happens every show.
It's just an interesting thing. But, I mean, one thing that you did touch on about new GMs, Nick Aldis debuted on Friday Night SmackDown and became the SmackDown general manager with probably the line of the night to Dominic Mysterio. While Adam Pearce was, quote-unquote, promoted to the Raw general manager after being told he was doing great on both shows. See, this is where you can be like, okay, I don't know your wording. Adam Pearce, you're doing such a great job running both shows. You're in line for a promotion. You're now the head of just one show.
Yeah. Great promotion, boss.
Now, if you got more money and less work, cha-ching.
Well, yeah.
But, no, this now just goes out with the meme that if you want to be a general manager in WWE, your resume needs to have at least one world championship reign with the big gold belt. Like, I get that. Yeah. Indie wrestling.
Indie wrestling. But I like, Barry's comment there about the crowd reaction to Nick Aldis, similar to what he got in Impact. I loved the reaction. People knew who he was. They understood. I like the handshake between him and Adam Pearce saying, I'm looking forward to friendly competition. But then the absolute zinger line on Dominic was the best thing. Dominic, it's nice to meet you. I'm a big fan of your dad. And again, it's nothing new. It's not like that kind of line has never been used in history, but Nick Aldis delivers it beautifully. And it was perfect timing right then and there. That segment worked. It was great. Dominic's a slimy little heel that people want to go away, and it's fantastic. It works brilliantly. And I like it. I like the appointment of Aldis. I like that he's going to be on screen. Great. Awesome. And this works. Again, now Raw and SmackDown have GMs. Okay, the GM thing's a little played out in some ways, but at least this isn't the heel GMs or anything, the nasty, evil boss that creates screw jobs all over the place. This seems more like it's there in figure only to make sense of the matches being created. Kind of like Regal was in NXT.
Yeah. And that's just it. I'm very interested to see this. But I am not naive to think that one of these guys will not become a heel GM down the road. However, I just don't think there's a need for it right now. What I do love is that they are two men that have a presence, and they make it felt right when they grab a microphone or they talk. You just have, I'm going to shut up and let you talk kind of respect. Why? Because they've done a few things in the business, right? Adam Pearce was, I think, too much in he got slapped around too much. But he had some acts in the sense of Chelsea Green being one, which was absolutely hilarious. But, and this is kind of where I'm getting at, Nick Aldis has a completely different feel than Adam Pearce. So in respect, SmackDown, it might have a different feel than Monday Night Raw. And finally now I think they're going to be instituting a different vibe on each show instead of having a similar vibe on both shows, which is kind of what we've been getting used to.
Yeah, SmackDown did feel different on Friday night, which was kind of a nice change. It felt a little bit more stripped back and like an actual wrestling program at times. So I really enjoyed that feel to it. I like Bobby's question here. I've got, it's great to have Nick Aldis as the GM. Do you guys think we'll see Mickie James coming back to the WWE? I think this is a perfect opportunity. I think especially, if she's looking to get, to the point of retiring, she might want to get into a backstage role. She would be great for the women's division in a backstage role, someone who can really help them out and everything too. Also, this isn't the same atmosphere as what it was when Mickie last left. So I think there's more opportunity now, especially when Nick all this over there, for that to become a reality before Mickie calls it a day on professional wrestling.
Yeah, whether or not Mickie, well, one, it all depends on whether or not she wants to come back. She's in a really good spot with Impact Wrestling. And I really don't know if she wants to leave there. It would really suck to see her leave, as Impact is just, you can say a lot about their product, but their women's division is just on a different level right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually always is. But if she was to come back to WWE, I think it would be great. I think it'd be great for some of the younger girls, especially NXT. Like Mickie James in NXT for a little bit to help work with just the upcoming stars would be just amazing. But I really think this would be the right time to induct her in the Hall of Fame if that's a chance. You kind of really need to have that strong female presence, and who better than potentially, arguably, one of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestlers in the female division of all time. Like, I truly believe that. So Mickie James in the Hall of Fame, like this for 2024, I think that could be a real possibility. But I also am going to point out this. I would like to see a women general manager for the women's division. I want them to think outside the box here and maybe do something else.
Yeah, and they really could. And Mickey's perfect for that as well, too, because again, she's great on all aspects, whether it's her in ring, on the microphone, or just what she's capable of from helping people out from backstage. Mickey James would be, in my opinion, a really strong get returning to the WWE. Is the possibility there? I think more than ever in recent times that it's there. And I agree with you. A Hall of Fame induction would be probably the most enticing way to get her back there.
Yeah, and as soon as we saw Nick Aldis, you're gonna think Mickey James, right? Obviously, the 100%. Two are. If you live under Dwayne Johnson, yes, they are legally married to each other. They are husband and wife. Not to mention, man, it'd be kind of cool to see a Nick Aldis and man, I always wanted to see Nick Aldis and Triple H. I thought that would have been a really cool match, but maybe seeing Nick Aldis and Mickey against Stephanie and Triple H, I would actually be okay to see that once in a while. But at the same time, I also want to see Nick Aldis on his own accord for a bit before we see any inclusion onto Mickey James, because I do think it's very important. The one thing I thought was very lackluster with Nick Aldis was the way that he was just brought in. He didn't get an entrance. He didn't get a theme song. I was very interested when I heard he was going to be on SmackDown. You know, what is going to be the sound of Nick Aldis? So I was very kind of underwhelmed with that, but it's also great to see kind of his presence. So I kind of do want to see more Nick Aldis away from Mickey James at this point too.
Yeah. Chris Best saying when Sonya Deville was doing the sort of backstage figure helping out Adam Pearce, I thought she would have been great as a GM for the women's division. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I still wouldn't even say that was a bad idea, but who knows?
Not at all. And there's a lot of women that are capable of doing that. Like even Alexa Bliss at times, showed that, that's something she could be done. She hosted WrestleMania. So let's not throw that out, because especially when we see some of these women get older and they start having like children, some of them may not necessarily want to come back to an active in-ring role all the time. They might just want to do like the occasional, GM stint, and that's it. And that's okay. But yeah, one thing I also wanted to kind of put out or say when we talked about the Vince McMahon thing kind of leading into this, one of the things we saw was the first main roster appearance from Jade Cargill as she appeared on SmackDown. While Nick Aldis was listening to the Chelsea Green and the Piper Niven about their ideas for the new championships, he then was confronted by Charlotte, who Nick Aldis is the one that made the match between Charlotte and Io on Friday next week for the women's championship. And then as soon as Charlotte goes to turn and walk out, she is met by Jade Cargill, only for Triple H to kind of wheeze his way in the middle and be like, Charlotte, Jade, Charlotte, kind of a deal. And I thought that was really cool. One, because we got to see Jade Cargill for the first time on a show, and I thought it was very indicative that SmackDown was the first show Jade Cargill was live on. So I think she could be a SmackDown bound. But also the stare down between Charlotte and Jade, which I thought was a foreshadow of what possibly could be a WrestleMania match in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it could be. It depends how far along Jade is and if they're ready to trust her. And very much could be. This might be the best thing, is just little bits of TV time to see the kind of reactions you get. The nice thing about this entire segment was that it felt like Papa Triple H was, taking the new employee around the, backstage to meet all the crew and everything like that. It just so happened that they're walking in that area as Charlotte's doing her segment. And just all of a sudden he's like, ooh, this will be fun, because this is the one person I know will definitely be tough on the new person. By the way, hey, Charlotte, this is, and then all of a sudden Charlotte just cuts him off and it's like, I know who this is. They just pointed out, like, I'm ready, like anytime. So,
and I thought that was
interested. Oh, sorry. Bobby interested in Jade versus Charlotte. I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that matchup.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I thought that was very important that Charlotte acknowledged who Jade was, because one, it makes Jade look like a big deal, a lot more of a big deal. But when Charlotte doesn't say "Who are you?" she doesn't talk down. She talks kind of with not only just respect but understanding. Like, okay, no, you're for real. Now you get that perception that Jade is on that level with Charlotte. You don't have a different perception. Your perception is that Jade Cargill matters, and WWE has been trying very hard to make sure that that is a thing. Why? Because without even stepping into a ring, they're making Jade Cargill look like a bona fide beast of an Impact player. And I think that's very important to add, and I think that's a really good thing. Hopefully, Jade Cargill delivers in the ring, which I don't think we expect that she won't, but let's just hope she doesn't Scott Steiner this, because remember Scott Steiner's that guy had hype and then just put a pancake that even the New Day couldn't get over.
That is fair. But yeah, again, I think that's why they need to take their time and not immediately try to have Jade versus Charlotte happen anytime too soon. Again, earliest would be like a WrestleMania type situation because you can put a lot behind it. But again, in the meantime, they really need to work on focusing on Jade's in-ring, and they have the facilities and the training to do it. And having her show up on, like I said, for a short little segment like this to introduce her to that crowd, perfect way of doing it. You don't need to send her out there to, make any TV mistakes by going out and having a match that doesn't look good and all this hype. Make sure she's 100% ready behind the scenes before sending her out there to be on TV with the wrestling matches. Because as much as you want to believe, everyone's like, oh, they've already seen her. No, WWE does share an audience have an audience that doesn't watch AEW. So this is an introduction to at least a good 40% of WWE's current watching audience.
Completely agree. And I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just believe that they're doing such a great way of making you want to see this. You want to see more every time. And I think this is the small thing of one of the big changes. Even Triple H said on a press conference, when it comes to this stuff, he's a patient man. And I think that is very important in creative sometimes. You don't always, throw your best hand out just because you have a card to play. You need to know how to save it and play it at the right time. And I think that's very much an example of what he was talking about when we're seeing just the baby steps of taking Jade Cargill. As Barry Monkey's coming in saying, Tony Khan should brag that WWE are looking at AEW talent as top stars.
But I don't know that they're looking at them as top stars yet.
Just as much as he's looking at WWE or AEW is looking at WWE guys as top stars too.
No, but I think in this argument, like, because you're talking about like Brian Pillman Jr., you're talking about Jade Cargill. Jade's being pushed as a big star, but they're pushing her that direction. They haven't necessarily said she was at that point with AEW. They're going to get her to beyond that point. And then on the case of Brian Pillman Jr., King, I can't remember the full change of name. Like they made
Lexi King, I believe.
Something like that. They made him more interesting with one segment on NXT than he has been in all of his run with AEW or MLW for that matter.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where when you get a fresh slate and you have to start from somewhere and understand that not only do you start from somewhere, you also have to build and you have to keep building. So unless you have a very insane first impression, now all of a sudden the standards are high. Just ask Chris Jericho. Just ask Kane. Their first impression to the WWE, WWF at that point, absolutely amazing. Sometimes it's hard to live up to that. Yeah. So you have to build, you have to keep going. And how do you grow from something? You don't necessarily always need to start hot. You can start with heat, but you don't have to start hot. You can build to become hot. And I think that's the difference between what we're seeing in AEW And I'm going to always use the Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson example, because Adam Cole, huge. That pop, amazing. But it felt like it was taken away just like that when Bryan Danielson came out.
Yeah.
And now Adam Cole's an afterthought because I got something else as well. And it was just an example of, okay, you had 2 cards and you had to play them for that. Whereas you have Brian Pillman Jr. All right, we're going to play him. You're going to take some time. Cool. Now we're invested. Now we care. We want to see what's next. Jay Cargill, she's doing the social media. Tony Khan, that's how you fucking use social media, by the way, buddy. But then all of a sudden you're just getting a little bit at a time. You're getting a little bit more. You're getting a little bit more than that, but you haven't gotten the whole picture. Haven't gotten the whole idea yet. And once you do, and when you're able to put it together, there you go. That is kind of the reason. So those are just the small detailed examples to why right now Triple H, I think, is just doing such a great job because, again, he said he was patient, but he understands pro wrestling, it's a long game.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you just like, no pun intended, but it is a pun. You just have to know how to play the game.
That's fair. That's fair. And I mean, I'm not always going to agree with everything Triple H does. I don't agree with everything any particular booker does. That's pro wrestling for you. They're going to get stuff wrong. They're going to get stuff right. But I prefer the long game anyway. So if they do the long game in the right ways, I enjoy it. I really do. And they could be doing the right thing with both these 2 talents. And, they will turn them into the stars they believe that they can. And I guess the rest then becomes up to Jade and Pillman Jr. about where they go from there with it, kind of thing. They'll give them the tools to get there. The execution comes down to them once they get on that stage and how they handle it.
Yeah, and that's just it. And it's great because we're now putting them in a position to where they have the opportunity to show us who they are instead of like us saying, no, you should have done this. Should have done this. You don't put Karrion Kross in this like outfit. You got to do it this way. You don't change this name here. You got to keep him the way it is. Like now we're in positions to where we want to see the next move, and it's a lot better to watch something when you're curious on what's next, opposed to saying, no, they should have done it this way.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that, we can watch that maybe we would have done things different, but maybe we're also seeing what's next. Let's dive into the MLW Slaughterhouse a little bit, right? We watched it live with the watch along last night.
Sure did.
With friends, Papa Smokes, with Chris Baston, with Mel Ball Collins, along with everybody who joined us in the chat. But we did see some little things come out. Matt Cardona challenges Alex Kane for that MLW championship.
Yep.
But there's also things that, didn't necessarily hit the mark. But let's let everybody know who maybe didn't get a chance to kind of enjoy that with us last night. A little bit more about our thoughts on MLW Slaughterhouse.
I mean, okay, we can start with the gimmick matches were a mess. They really were. The Falls Count Anywhere for the National Openweight Championship. It kept going on, and they were trying to do something that you could get away with a bigger production. Just kind of fell apart with MLW doing it. The Chamber of Horrors match, did anybody think that was going to get pulled off and be good? No. It was unnecessary, dumb, really just jobber guys versus Mance Warner, and I forget the other dude's name. Just pointless. It really felt pointless. But outside of that, now there was some interesting things. There was some great matchups. The other 3 matchups, the one-on-ones were solid, but a couple of shocking finales because Akira drops the MLW middleweight championship to Rocky Romero. And again, that was kind of a shock. But again, thinking on it, I said it last night, Rocky Romero's going into the match against Mystico in AEW. Now, Rocky Romero might come out with that championship as well too when he goes down to the ring. Great publicity for MLW. Likewise, with the Halloween Phantom Challenger that challenged Delmi Exo for the MLW Featherweight Championship, turns out to be Janai Kai, who ends up taking a victory. Janai Kai looked fantastic. Great addition to the MLW Featherweight division. This match was solid as well, too. Really liked it. I know Mel brought up Delmi Exo's running a little bit there, which is a little bit funny to watch. But aside from that, Delmi's good inside the ring, and the match was solid. Now Janai Kai, the new champion. Opportunity for the belt to be shared there amongst other companies that Janai's showing up on. And then, yeah, the main event itself between Kane and the replacement for Davey Boy Smith Jr., Filthy Tom Lawler. Excellent match. Great way to cap off the night. Alex Kane retaining, and then you get your appearance. Because I was saying earlier in the night, I'm like, man, for a company that can brag that they've got Cardona and they had him on the Fusion tapings earlier in the night, surprised there was no involvement of Matt Cardona during the broadcast itself. But there it was at the end. Matt Cardona starting to challenge Alex Kane, the smack talking back and forth happening. So most likely November 18th, I believe, is the date at Fightland. I would presume we are going to see that title match take place. Alex Kane defending against Matt Cardona. Your thoughts?
Yeah. And just to kind of update you where you said you didn't know who the other guy was, the match was Mance Warner and Matthew Justice.
Yeah,
going up against Collins Cannonball and Talon. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that match obviously it was what it was. It was a glorified
death match with a cage.
Yeah. With it's when you go to an indie wrestling show and you see that gimmick match and they just do everything, and it's you kind of take it half seriously, but you also just enjoy kind of watching the car crash live in front of you. That's basically what that match was. Nothing bad, but nothing great, but I mean, I've seen worse too. Bobby Common, I could see Tiara James or Becca being first challenge Janai Kai for the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship. Yeah, and I think the right. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I know I was talking to somebody about this. I believe that the fact that they put it on Janai Kai is just transitional to get it onto Becca. Because I think they feel now that with Becca, even though she's doing heel-like tactics, people like Becca too much for her to be 100% heel. So this might be the perfect opportunity. You put it on someone like Janai Kai. Maybe she has another match before Becca, like maybe Tiara James does get that match first. I'm not sure. But I think inevitably the thought process here is to get the belt on Becca. 100% feel that's the direction they're going.
Yeah, I mean, she is definitely someone that was an act that when she started, she was supposed to be that kind of the bitch next door, but she ended up being the most entertaining act that they had on the women's division. Like, are you going to pay necessarily to see her in the ring per se? Not right now. You're paying to see her on the mic.
Bad in the ring, though.
No, I know. But let me finish here. She gets your attention by what she does on the mic, and then that leads into what she's able to do, and then she becomes that dual threat. She can entertain you in there, and she holds her own in the ring as well. And because of that, she's now that act that you're like, oh, okay. It's a lot easier to hate Becca if she was, what she was on the microphone and then just okay in the ring. But because she holds her own in the ring as well, and she is very entertaining, she ends up turning you into like, you know what? I just want to see more of that. And then you mix with what she does on social media. Tony Khan, again, take notes. This is what you do. And then you just get that following. So every time you do shows, and it's not like they're doing shows all the time, right? They're very, they have that schedule that they do, and that benefits the act sometimes, just like Becca, to the point where now you want to see Becca again because she's not overused. She's not overplayed. She's perfectly used to the point where now you just want to see more because she's not thrown down your gullet per se to where you get sick of her. She's an act that you just want to see more of. And now she is right there. She's always going to be our first option for a women's title when she's not in the picture to begin with.
100%. I like Barry's comment here. If you put a wrestling ring in your back garden, there's a 90% chance Matt Cardona will turn up there at some time, especially if you have a belt. If you have a belt, there's a guarantee he's going to show up. And Bobby saying Matt Cardona is a great choice to wrestle against Alex Kane. It was inevitable. If they've got him for a period of time right now, you have to throw Matt Cardona in that picture because people will pay attention. And Cardona used the typical shtick last night, like, oh, how many, Twitter followers do you have, Kane? I've got 2 million kind of thing. He will draw eyes to the product. And this is fantastic because I believe very strongly that Cardona will put Alex Kane over. And this only benefits Alex Kane. It won't hurt Matt Cardona, but it will benefit Alex Kane. And it will benefit the MLW Championship.
And did you know Matt Cardona was an ECW original? I did not know that.
That's what he claimed last night anyway. That got a lot of boos from the 2300 arena on that one.
The more you know. But no, and that's just the thing. He is clearly the biggest star in the wrestling world, in that building, on that night. And the single fact that you're now taking your most over act and you're putting that in a program with your world champion who is on the up and ups, that's just how you do business. Like, God forbid you're putting your best act in the main event. Shocker. But at the same time, like what Alex Kane needs to solidify his run is legit competition. He just can't be a champion and then face, person from here, person from there. He needs legitimate acts. And yes, he won from the longest reigning MLW champion of all time, Hammerstone. Cool. Where do you go from here? How do you make this title bigger? How do you make yourself a better act? You got to face people like Matt Cardona when they're there. That is the proper use of a talent like Matt Cardona. Will he win the championship? I think he will only do that if he stays longer in MLW. But if he doesn't, this is the perfect time to use Matt Cardona and make Alex Kane a bigger star out of it.
100%. And that's why I say that, because I know there'd always be that, like, oh, do we legitimize, the title a little bit more by putting it on someone a star of Cardona? You could have that thought process, but I think more so you want to solidify your homegrown act. Like the star of Alex Kane rose in MLW. He is repping MLW all over the damn place. You want this guy to be a star. And when you got someone like Matt Cardona, obviously Matt Cardona is willing to put certain people over. And I would not be surprised if that is the case here. They're going to go out. They're going to have a solid match. Kane goes over. Beaumaye's star continues to grow because that presentation, man, when they got all those people running out to the rampway chanting Beaumaye, and then you've got out comes Mr. Thomas, O'Shea Edwards, Jay Bougie, and then eventually Kane, and they've got the matching shirts and jackets and everything. The Beaumaye Fight Club is a really cool act, and I think that it can only continue to grow in professional wrestling by solidifying those opponents for Alex Kane, like a Matt Cardona, and people that are willing to get in there, give him a quality match, and really solidify that championship run of his as well, too. Because again, while Kane is liked right now, like he's essentially a baby face, but he still hasn't changed his act. He's not going out there shaking hands and being Mr. Nice Guy to everyone. Beaumaye is for the people, great, but he's still calling Matt Cardona a hoe and stuff. Like, I mean, he's not holding back and being polite towards his opponent. If his opponent's coming to talk smack, Alex Kane talks just as much smack or more back at him.
Yeah, when if you're gonna play ball, you can't bring your worst bat to the plate. You got to bring your best bat because what are we doing if you don't? But this is what makes wrestling, right? Like, did anybody want to see The Rock go up against Steve Austin and just be like, it's really nice to have a match with you. I'm honored. I can't wait to share the ring with you. No, you want to hear him like, you know what you could do with all your wallets? You could turn those sunbursts sideways and stick them straight up your candy head. That's going to draw more tickets, man. That's what you're supposed to do. That's how you create views. That's how you create that atmosphere to where people care and want to see you have that match. Bobby Bonino saying Jay Bougie would be a great opponent for Rocky Romero's MLW middleweight championship. You goddamn right he
Totally
would,
agree.
Jay Bougie is a star on the rise in MLW, and very happy for his success. And you might be able to see Jay Bougie again on Busting Out in the foreseeable future. So we can ask him that very question.
Now that the star has risen, he's coming back to join us sometime eventually.
Perhaps. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that. And then when we're sprinkling kind of the undercard, when you're seeing that women's division, get there. Delmy X, she's not out of the picture. She might be the former champion, but she's still very much in. You got the Janai Kai in there, you got that new blood. Then you have Becca right there. She's kind of the odd one out of the picture, but she could be the one that makes that picture a must-see moving forward. And then you have kind of the calling kind of there as a group that, eventually, because you've been saying this, we'll probably challenge Bumaye Fight Club down the road. What was the War Chamber match that they have?
The War Chamber, which is essentially a single ring War Games.
Yeah. And then we got other acts like, we saw Suzuki going up against Jacob Fatu in a very good match there. And as
Suzuki went over too.
Yep. And you also have like the Ricky Shane Pages of the world who are impressing you more and more and more when they're out. And again, you got the Ricky Romero, you got the Akira, who I thought was very good. You have those pieces in place. So people, if what's that next show that they have coming up that there could be a little watch along?
Fightland, I think is the name of the next program. That'll be November 18th. That is a Saturday. Yeah. I know that after that they've got, I believe their traditional fusion on Thanksgiving takes place in November as well too. That's on a Thursday night, so we'll do that one with Ring Respect Radio. And then there's another in December called One Shot right off the start of December there, and that's a Thursday night premium live event as well too. So the watch along is going to be incorporated into that episode of Ring Respect Radio.
There you go. So I mean, if you're ever curious or interested in watching a little bit more MLW action, OLE is the place to be.
We got you
for that. And Bobby Munson, Ring Respect Radio, Papa Smokes, they're the voice of MLW here at OLE, so make sure you're checking that out.
Maybe commentators for him one day. That would be nice.
I mean,
I want Matt Striker's job so I can do it better than him.
Well, somebody needs to learn how to do it because he ain't cutting it.
Super Mario Striker.
He couldn't even keep the mustache on. What a bitch. But yeah, what a world we could live in if you and Papa Smokes are MLW commentators and Carl can get sponsored by Dr. Pepper.
We'd be living the dream.
Right? But what we do have, though, is we have our beautiful partners over at RogueEnergy.com.
We sure do.
We have them. And we're very happy for them. So make sure if you go to RogueEnergy.com, you look through all their flavors. You might want to get that Ruby Splash, that new flavor that is now just in stock. You can enjoy that. But if we're kind of getting to that nitty-gritty time where you got to start thinking about that December holiday. So if you want to save some money, make sure that you use our promo code OLEPODS because that'll help you save 10% on your order. Yeah, don't be a fool. Use our promo code and then say thank you because you got to save that money because it's all about that money. Yeah.
But yes, calendar time.
Well, yeah, but first we got to pick up the jaw that is dropping from Bobby's stats as he's laughing so hard.
Oh, I love it every time we get Bobby laughing, rolling on the floor, laughing. Love it.
Yeah,
Glad we could bring a smile to your face and a chuckle to your.
we got to put him on a bike and call him the American Badass because he keeps rolling.
Wrong song, but nice.
Hey, Taker used it. It counts.
Okay.
He did it before. He used that before.
I better brush up. Seen as Limp Bizkit, I believe, is one of the topics of beats and beatdowns this season.
Don't you remember WrestleMania 19 where they?
Where they played live, right?
They performed.
Yeah.
He started with the rolling. Yeah,
that's right.
Oh,
I do recall.
You can't miss that. You just can't miss it. But people, you can't miss what we have coming up. So we'll show you a little calendar so you can get a little bit more in tune with what you can see from our local establishment. As I'm on the big screen right now because Bobby mistimed the ad break. Oh, there he is. Oh, look who's back. There you go. Mistimed that a little bit, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're old and 90 minutes passes by, things happen. Especially when you drink like 2 of these in the morning, too, doesn't help. But
oh, that locker room visit. Yeah.
That's that long. But I mean, come on, Omni is an old man too. I mean, I understand.
He sure is.
You young kids you'll get there one day.
Maybe I'll do that in my bladder years, but needless to say. One of our final topics we have here is talking about kind of like, the kind of everywhere else in wrestling other than maybe like the WWs and AEWs, as we have wrestling is smashing into a new era. How will the wrestling world, as type that really fast, be impacted? But yeah, very interesting kind of there, because like obviously there is a lot more to be talked about in the wrestling thing outside of WWE and AEW, but how kind of let's take the chance to kind of talk about more about stuff outside of those companies, because there are stuff going on. As you can see, you have the Halloween theme back there. We all refer to Halloween with pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins per se. Billy Corgan, the runner of NWA, had a little interesting tidbit out there. Do you want to maybe tell the fans and our viewers a little bit more about what he said and kind of what you thought about it?
For sure. Before I even say that, again, Impact Wrestling's got Bound for Glory coming up on Saturday, and of course you'll see it on the calendar. We're going to have Astrid hosting a post show on that, so stay tuned for that. Speaking of companies outside of what we talk about regularly, but on the NWA side, Billy Corgan made a few claims recently, one of which being that he's got 2 national TV deals with top 20 companies in place for the NWA. this is massive. If he is not BSing and this goes through, this can be huge for a shift in the way things are going within professional wrestling outside of the big two in North American professional wrestling, I should mention. On top of that, he's also talking about reigniting the NWA and the territory system. So I think essentially the way this would be looked at is having the NWA banner in support of a lot of different independent companies, giving them a little bit more of a voice. And then, of course, that would open up the floor to say they do have these television deals. And for example, if there was a company here in Canada that took on NWA Canada or something like that, you had talents such as a Sean Moore working there, that all of a sudden this would open the door for Sean Moore making his way over to NWA. Speaking of Canadian talents, though, making their way to NWA, we can't deny the fact that Mo Jabari from Western Canada here is going to be appearing on the upcoming upcoming NWA tapings there. So huge news on that front. But, there's just, I think it can open the door for more independent wrestlers getting opportunity, especially if Billy is correct about this 2 television deal that he has secured for the NWA. Barry saying the Bound for Glory card looks good. It does look good, Barry. I'll be out at Prairie Pro Wrestling that night, so unfortunately I won't be catching that one live at all, but definitely a great card, and I know that hopefully you'll be showing up to watch that post show that Astrid has going on that night.
Yeah. Bobby coming in saying NWA is doing a pay-per-view on October 28th. It is called NWA Sam Hain. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
That's correct. Yes.
I did hear about that. I have no idea if what Sam Hain means. So if people in the chat can let me know a little bit more about that, Bobby, if you can, Bobby Stats, that is, you brought it up. Let us know more about the Sam Hain name and what that means, as I'm very unfamiliar with that. But
it's a Halloween, right? Like an October 31st reference. Actually, comes out of, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's out of Ireland or something like this. It's an Irish reference or something like that to Halloween. I could be wrong. Yeah. Somebody tell me in full, but I'm pretty certain that's what it's in reference to.
Yeah, but no, it's just like I mean, we were talking about this off air, and like obviously Billy Corgan can
There, I wasn't too far off. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the Celtic New Year. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, we were talking a little bit off screen about kind of Billy Corgan a little bit, and I know Billy Corgan can he also has, you can get into that Tony Khan syndrome sometimes of saying the wrong thing online. But I do believe that as much as he could say some things that you're just like, okay, you're a rock star. You clearly have done some stuff with the drug element of life. But I do believe that he has a lot of good in him when it comes to professional wrestling. I do think he loves the business that is professional wrestling a lot and enough to want to do the right thing. I don't know if he knows necessarily what the right thing is and how to do it per se, but I do believe that his intention is there. I know you're a big fan of the Smashing Pumpkins, and I know Billy Corgan is somebody that you love. How do you kind of like take not only the wrestling side of Billy Corgan away from the music, but like, what are your thoughts about the wrestling side of Billy Corgan?
The wrestling side of Billy Corgan, like, again, I was telling you this offline, that, a lot of top professionals that have worked alongside him say he's got a great business mind, that he respects the business and everything. So I appreciate that. I see that, and that's cool. Yeah, he says some dumb shit sometimes, but who doesn't? I mean, he probably shouldn't have made his tires comments, and when he did, I was like, by all means, anyone want to go attack him for saying his dumb tires comments, 100% go at him, because he deserves it. As for, Smashing Pumpkins take a lot of heat. They're not everybody's favorite. They obviously clearly lost a lot of audience after their early days. People were really high on their music there for the longest time, and they became a little bit different, more experimental over the years and everything like that. Because Billy's always said musically that he never wanted to do all the same stuff all the time kind of thing because it gets boring. He'd like to try different things. That's what he's done. So again, I can understand that not a lot of people like them and they're going to throw their shade. That's fine. It happens. I differentiate any type of stuff like that differently. Like when I see someone doing music versus promoting wrestling, I don't put them in the same world. I differentiate what I like from all of it kind of thing. They're separate categories for me, and I can look at it, objectively in that sense.
Yeah, and it's funny because I asked that because obviously people who know me know that I'm a big Chris Jericho fan, and I was growing up, and it was very weird when he got into music, or not get into music, but when his music started taking off. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you love Jericho, you must listen to Fozzy a lot." I'm like, well, I listen to it, but it's not like I'm not an avid Fozzy guy. Like, I'm not going to put them in the same realms as my other favorite artists. But you really do have to look at both subjectively in order to really understand them both, because it's weird because one can actually take heat for what you do in another realm. Like, a lot of wrestling fans may look at what Billy Corgan does for the NWA, just not like it to the point where it may sour their feeling on him, because we're just in that world where if you do one thing bad somewhere, that's going to carry over. You're guilty by association almost in that aspect. And Barry Monkey saying, I think it's trouble with fans running wrestling companies in NWA and AEW gets too personal. I think that's just a problem with general television now. I think a lot of the fans are trying to be too invested in every aspect of those people, like whether it's their life or their business life, things like that. That's why I kind of say, I truly believe Billy Corgan means well. I just don't know if he knows how to do well all the time.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between somebody who grew up in the wrestling business and completely gets it on a completely different level than when you say maybe a fan coming in. There's just a different lens, and you saw it. I'll even go back, if you saw the show The Wrestlers, that about the OVW on Netflix, there you had that one guy that was a money guy essentially for OVW. Yep. Took him almost that year to really truly understand the difference of his mentality going in to where he ended the season off. And he really said I now understand how idiotic I was coming in, because the lens you have is completely different than when you learn. And I do believe Billy Corgan has learned so much more about wrestling. And when you hear him speak candidly in interviews, he sounds very smart in that. He understands, he's aware of what he has to do. Sometimes I think there's criticism is what he eventually does do, and then trying to defend the stuff that he does that doesn't work, and kind of just makes him come off weird.
Yeah.
And kind of silly.
And I can understand from the perspective of a fan coming in, because that's what I was too. And it does change you. Your lens will change being involved directly in any capacity, and you will learn a lot, just like you do when you take the role of a pro wrestler. Everything changes. So you of course are a fan a lot of the time to get into it, to train, to become one, and everything like that. You have a reason to go there in the first place. So that perspective of learning is going to happen. It's just different when you're a fan coming in and you don't go into the ring and train and stuff like that. I took it a little differently. When I came in, I was like, if I'm going to do what I'm going to do, I want to at least show that I respect it enough to go try a little bit, take a camp kind of thing, just to get that perspective kind of thing. And it starts to make you understand better, learn more. And I was always told the best thing possible is to keep your head down and your ears open when it comes to being there, because
and your mouth shut.
And your mouth shut. Yes,
that's the important one,
which I wasn't always perfect at.
Again,
but, I've learned over the years.
Again, Tony Khan, take some notes. We're here to help. But I mean, that's just it. Like, and that's not saying that just because you're a wrestling guy, like you did all that training and you did things, the quote unquote the right way, doesn't mean you know everything either. Because I mean,
has proved my wrestlers.
Some
of them pitching ideas was terrible.
I mean, we just talked about Vince McMahon too. Like, as much good as he does as he does over time, like you just can't deny what the guy did throughout his tenure as the guy for WWF, WWE. But at the same time, you see, like, kind of as as life goes on, as the years go on, there's sometimes disconnect, and you don't always have your foot at the pulse, right? Like, or your finger on the pulse. It's not necessarily something that you always get right. Wrestling is a very, very adapting and, what's the right word, evolving business, to where one day you might have the best vision, the best direction, then the next day you're completely lost because you just don't understand it. And that's just how it is. So, and there's definitely that other side of business and then creative from inside. Like, it's, you might be the best businessman, but doesn't mean you're going to be the best business promoter. So, but at the same time, just because you're the best wrestling guy doesn't mean you're going to be the best businessman in wrestling either. But Barry Monkey saying.
Barry was saying that they got unlucky with the Bud Light 19 disease that shut a lot of companies down. Well, I mean, again, it's stupid. The Google bots are always searching for things like that. But it derailed them, and they never recovered. And I get where he's coming from. They had a little bit of a different voice prior to that, and since then have had to try to do a lot of catch up to do things similar to what is popular. They had a very niche voice prior to that, and I understand that connection because it is what originally drew myself in, Papa Smokes in. Like, immediately when they reignited the NWA in the way they did, we were intrigued by it based on that old school feel that it had.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. Like, and I'm very much, I always like to think of NWA as kind of that catalyst from what the WCW and the WWF eventually kind of grew to become too. Like, if it wasn't for NWA being, that territorial thing, I don't know if we really would see, those other companies. Like, they're very vital to the history of professional wrestling, very much so. And, like, yes, it's not what it used to be. It's still a different version of what it used to be, but at the same time, it stayed very much relatively true to what it was. It's just it's presented in different ways now. They still use the Big Ten or the Big Gold title, which gives you that nostalgic feeling. And then sometimes you get the right guys coming in, like the Nick Aldis carried that beautifully. You got the Adam Pearce that held that championship beautifully. And then sometimes you get Tyrus, and
yeah, sometimes,
and that's just a thing.
That's the comment of the day.
So at the end of the day, it's you just don't always get everything right, but sometimes when you're lucky, you can hit one of the nicest home runs that we've ever seen. So. It's fine.
Moving forward, if anybody is ever having a bad day, instead of just like complaining and saying I'm having a shitty day, you're having a Tyrus-like day. That is the new phrase.
Oh man, I woke up feeling like a Tyrus, but I ended up living my day like a Dana Brooke. Oh God.
Fair assessment.
I don't think they're ever gonna appear on our show.
Probably not. Breaking news next week: Tyrus and Dana Brooke both on busting. Matt Cardona was the champion there as well too, and he elevated it when he was there and doing that. So that's what it's about, is elevating. I think Tyrus derailed it a bit, but Cardona definitely brought it into the forefront, which was good. So. The wrestling world is always going to be impacted by these changes, and we'll see how it pans out. I mean, if Billy is really pushing this direction and he's going for it, then sweet, go for it. And again, I like it. I like some competition, because competition only makes professional wrestling better, because they have to take a look at themselves. How can I be better than the other guys? And this could hopefully challenge both AEW and WWE to start taking another look at what they're doing and making sure that they're doing the best product that they can possibly do. And I know I've heard a lot of people say it. That only benefits us as professional wrestling fans.
Yeah, and that's
that was classy.
You're gonna pin that one, aren't you?
I should pin that one. That one's funny.
But yeah, I mean that's just one thing. Like, yeah, we talked a little bit about the NWA, but as you mentioned earlier, Impact Wrestling is always seems like it gets lost in the shuffle, right? As you did mention, Astrid is going to be hosting a Bound for Glory post show this coming week, as the calendar said. So make sure you're checking that out, because it does go. It is on the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And it's live from Cicero, Illinois. Some of the matches there include Alex Shelley defending his Impact World Championship against Josh Alexander. You got Will Ospreay against Mike Bailey. You have Chris Sabin defending his X Division Championship against Kenta. Trinity defending her Impact Knockouts World Championship against Mickie James.
Mm-hmm.
You have your Call Your Shot Gauntlet. That is a 20-person intergender Call Your Shot, where the winner receives a trophy and a contract they can invoke anytime within 1 year for a championship match of their choosing. You got the Rascals of Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz defending their Impact World Tag Team titles against ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. You got MK Ultra of Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich defending their Impact Knockouts tag team titles against a team of Deonna Purrazzo and Tasha Steelz. And then you also have PCO versus Rhino versus Steve Macklin versus Moose in a Monsters Ball match. So just to kind of run down kind of what to expect on Bound for Glory this year. And so far, the people confirmed for the Call Your Shot Gauntlet are Jake Something, Dirty Dango, Champagne Singh, Eric Young, Jordan Grace, Brian Myers, Shara, Kylan King, Jody Threat, and Bully Ray.
Nice. Yeah. I had Barry saying Ospreay versus Bailey should be a match of the year candidate, and they're capable. They're very capable. And it's a solid card. I mean, honestly, hearing this would make me consider watching it live that night. Sadly, I mean, for better or worse, I'm out at Prairie Pro Wrestling, so I won't be able to catch it live. But it's fantastic, and I'm glad that, Barry, everyone who's going to be tuning into it can enjoy it. Of course, Astrid and the crew that are going to be doing the post show there. All awesome. I'm very happy for Impact Wrestling. I'm happy for Impact Wrestling fans, and I'm happy for any wrestling fans that are getting to enjoy the best of what they enjoy right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have the time of when that post show is going to occur, but make sure that you're tuning into our local establishment this Saturday night at the follow of Bound for Glory. As you can see, our own natural Astrid Pizarro breakdown. I mean, obviously with other people as well, but break down the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. But yeah, and that's kind of anything else in the world of professional wrestling that you want to talk about, or maybe people in the chat know. If not, we'll start calling that finish there.
Yeah, go. It's time to go. Time to go home on that one. Let's find out who we're gonna raid in the meantime and in between time. But yeah, there's not much more. We talked a lot of topics here today. It's been a nice big old busting out nearing the 2-hour mark. So again, it's about that time to start wrapping up and letting everybody get along with their Sunday, because I'm sure everybody's got wonderful things like laundry and yard work.
I ain't going outside with this weather. But if anybody in the chat has any specific, or maybe ideas of like who you want to raid, are there any people in the chat that you're like, you know what, follow that guy, Barry Monkey, take this seriously.
Nice.
But yeah, if you believe that there's somebody out there that on the Twitch side of things, you want to say, you know what, they deserve a little bit more eyes on their product, let us know. We like to help people out too. If not, I mean,
there's some people with some currently low views that we could really give a little bit of a boost to here that wouldn't hurt as well too. Like maybe we go with somebody with less than 10 current viewers so that we can give them a big old boost. Let everybody jump on over there because we got a good solid like 9 people going here on the Twitch side of things, which is absolutely perfect. I think we better round those people up and then we can go give big old OLE welcome to one of these hardworking Twitch streamers here this morning.
Okay, well then I'm gonna say let's take OLE and let's raid somebody who starts off their handle with an OLD, as in Old Head 30.
Sure.
They're playing some. No, they're playing some NBA 2K24 right now.
Okay, must have switched up.
Yeah, maybe, unless my computer is not. But yeah, Old Head 30. Go shout out to them. Show them some love and let them know that OLE sent them, as I'm getting that started right now. So, Bobby, in the meantime, let people know where we could find you.
Well, there's my ticker down below that you're seeing there. That is where you can find me, reach out to me, talk to me. You're also going to be able to catch me on Thursday night with Papa Smokes and Hypocrisy Jones on an all-new Ring Respect Radio. Friday, check out the next part of our Spooktober versions of Killer Cuts. It's the Killer Collective. Astrid and I will be reviewing both Killer Book Club and Totally Killer, both streaming right now between Netflix and Prime. And of course, then next Sunday back here on Bustin' Out. And again, I know we keep promising it. Schedules will line up, and Beats and Beatdowns will be coming back at you very, very soon as well, too. So look forward to those. But Parrish, how about yourself? How about that ticker right there? Let them know where they can find you.
You can find me on that ticker. Yeah. I'm going to be scrolling like you wouldn't believe right down on that ticker where it says, hey, that's my ex. That's that Chris Parrish. It's not a bad ex account. Then you got the Instagram and you got the threads of Chris Parrish. You got Twitch at the Chris Parrish. You also have the Kick. You also have the YouTube at Chris Parrish. So it's nice. Where you can see me coming up, you can see me running in on the Monday Night Watch along every Mondays for the next 3 weeks until I'm on parental leave, and then I'll be there in full. So get used to it. 3 hours of me, that's enough to make you want to divorce me. I hope my wife's not listening. But with that being said, still saying you can see me every Wednesday. As this Wednesday coming up, we're going to see the finale of season 2 of Wrestle Draft as we are going into a WrestleMania year, our season. So we're going to finish up our year with WrestleMania as the coup de grace there. Who's going to come out victorious season 2? Is it me? Is it Ed Price? Or is it that bastard Eric Bischoff? You will find out this Wednesday at about 10 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. 10 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I am so thrilled right now because, I'm cleaning up baby poop to the point where I don't know what time it is anymore. But then every Sunday, boom, we're right back out with episode 62. And you say Beats and Beatdowns are coming back. We promise you that we are going to do the Golden Busters at some time. So that's going to be coming in. And just also want to say thank you to everyone for surpassing OLE to 300 subscribers on YouTube. Definitely appreciate that as we are rolling into the 1 year anniversary of our local establishment. So just also want to say thank you to everyone for that love and support for the 1 year so far. Yeah. How about that?
There we go. I think at this point, Parrish, unless there's anything else to say, I believe that there's only one thing left to say. And why don't you let them know what we say when the end of the show comes?
Well, Christian Cage said it best. You've been busted.